Hey, what is up everybody? I am Jason and you're watching my channel, Micro Investor. So as if there is not enough electric vehicle companies out there going public, there is another one, and this one actually is probably one of the more popular ones. This is Lordstown Motors is looking to go public, and they are backed by Workhorse. I talked about them actually recently on the video I did on Workhorse, and they're also backed by General Motors. One of the things that's really helped out create a lot of buzz for Lordstown Motors is back in June, Vice President Mike Pence actually was at the unveiling of their electric pickup truck, the Endurance. Lordstown plans to list on the Nasdaq stock exchange under the ticker RIDE by combining with special purpose acquisition company called DiamondPeak, shares of which already trade on the exchange under the ticker symbol DPHC. Now, DPHC is a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company, also known as a blank check company, and its whole purpose is to do a reverse merger similar to what Nikola Motors did, and as well as Fisker is going to be doing with Spartan Energy. The deal is expected to close in the fourth quarter of 2020 and would provide Lordstown Motors with around $675 million in funding. Now, Lordstown Motors CEO Steve Burns, now remember that name because I'm going to be talking about him more later, said that they needed $450 million to get the Endurance into production by the middle of 2021. So they're going to have more money than needed to do that. Lordstown Motors is saying that the Endurance is going to be the first electric pickup truck available to the American consumer, but at the same time, Tesla, Ford, GM, Rivian, and Nikola are saying the same things about their pickup trucks that they have coming out as well. Now let's see what Lordstown is looking to bring to the market by taking a look at the Endurance pickup truck. The Endeavor is designed to look more like a traditional pickup truck. It has true four-wheel drive with 4 dedicated hub motors, and the Endeavor only has those 4 hub motors as the only moving parts on the vehicle, compared to a traditional internal combustion engine, which has thousands of moving parts. And the Endeavor gets up to 600 horsepower. Now, there are some areas where I hope that they can improve on. One of those being in the top speed, which it says it gets a top speed of 80 miles per hour, which is software governed. I'm just not a big fan of buying a product and getting a restriction like that, especially since that I live in California and the average speed that a lot of people drive on the freeway is about 80 miles an hour. And another area where I think they should work on is the range of the battery, where it gets 250 plus miles per charge. Now, in my opinion, it should be getting about 300 plus miles per charge. But the price tag is nothing to complain about, which is going to be $52,500. So very, very similar to what you'd be paying for a full-size four-wheel drive pickup truck. And some people might know this, is that the electric vehicle company Workhorse was also putting out a pickup truck called the W15. So this picture here is the Workhorse W15, which looks a lot like the Lordstown Endurance. That's because it kind of is. In 2019, Workhorse was going to take over the GM plant in Lordstown, Ohio. It was such a big deal, even the president tweeted about it. And Workhorse was going to build their trucks in that factory, but that actually did not happen. What ended up happening was Steve Burns, who was then at that time the founder and CEO of Workhorse, decided he's going to start a whole nother venture and move that one into the Lordstown factory. So Steve Burns left his job at Workhorse to then start Lordstown Motors, which then borrowed $40 million from GM to buy the factory, which was the factory where GM was making the Chevy Cruze. The Workhorse sold the intellectual property for its pickup truck to Lordstown Motors for $15.8 million, and then took a 10% stake in the new startup. And then Burns and Lordstown Motors agreed to give Workhorse 1% on every Endurance truck sold for the first 200,000 trucks sold. So that means that Steve Burns' old startup stands to benefit from Lordstown Motors going public. And GM isn't just cutting their ties with Lordstown at the factory alone. GM is investing $75 million in the go public transaction and get seats on the startup's board of directors. Though just $25 million of that comes in the form of cash, the other $50 million comes in the form of plant assets, plant permits, and operating costs at the factory that GM has covered since Lordstown Motors took over in November of 2019. And Lordstown Motors will be using GM components in the Endurance, hooking the startup into Tier 1 supply chain. With the growing popularity of pickup trucks and electric vehicle sales in the United States, Lordstown Motors believes that it can generate $118 million in revenue next year and $1.7 billion in revenue in its first full year of sales in 2022. So in 2022, they expect to make 31,000 trucks and then expect to double production each year after that. And then they want to eventually enter the SUV market. So Lordstown Motors is not the only startup electric vehicle company out there that has a big factory to work with. There is also another one called Rivian, who has an old Mitsubishi factory. Now GM wanted to invest into Rivian a couple of years ago, but they wanted an exclusive deal, which Rivian wasn't wanting to do at the time. So Ford ended up taking the deal and investing $500 million into Rivian, and then Amazon ended up investing into Rivian for even more money. Now at the moment, Rivian is not a publicly traded company, and more than likely it will be going IPO traditionally, not through a SPAC stock, given how much money it has already raised. Now back to Lordstown Motors. In my opinion, Lordstown Motors is one of the better EV startups that are out there, given the fact that they do have a factory to already start production in. That would put them above, say, Nikola Motors, in my opinion, because Lordstown Motors will be able to start producing vehicles more than likely before Nikola Motors even has their factory built. And Lordstown Motors is saying that they are a candidate for a $250 million loan from the Department of Energy for advanced technology vehicles. And given that they have the support from Trump and Pence, they could be a candidate. Now, this is the same program that Tesla went through decades ago and helped put them on the map. Anyways, I'll leave the video right there. I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts on Lordstown Motors. Is there anybody out there that is interested in investing into them? Please let me know. So as always, everybody, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I have new videos coming out on my channel all the time. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you all in the next video coming very soon. Hey, real quick, if you guys need to build a website, check out my affiliate, hostm1.com. And you can find me on Instagram at micro_investor.